What was that transition into trading that you saw that made you say this is something special?
From the market, I took about $20,000 and turned that into about $85,000. Eventually, I got to a point where the market was able to pay for me to take off from work for about 7 months.
What?
So far in trading, I've made over $250,000.
You feel like most people can get profitable.
Absolutely, they can.
A lot of people don't realize that they're allowed to do this stuff. They can invest, they can trade. It's not just for these people we see on Wall Street, right? I think that's the fun of it. LaKiesha, how would you describe what you do?
So I help people understand how to trade the market successfully using very simple techniques so that way they could understand it quickly and potentially gain from the market as quickly as possible.
So when you say the market, what's the difference between trading and investing in the stock market?
So trading and investing are very different things. So when you think of investing, or at least me typically, I think of Warren Buffett, where basically he has a whole bunch of different companies and he's held on to these companies for decades. And that essentially what investing is. You hold on to something for a really long time, where trading is very short term. Maybe you hold on to a position for a few minutes, a few hours, maybe a couple days.
Is one better than the other?
I would say that they're different instead of better. So even as a market trader myself, I do have investments, things that I've had for over 10 years, but then I do have some trades that I've taken this past week and last week that I was in them maybe 5 or so hours and then got out of them and was able to profit or not. So it's not 100% wins all the time, but I was able to capitalize on that opportunity, take my profits mostly from the market, and just wait for another opportunity.
Okay, cool. So if we think about like someone saying, I'm going to buy a stock in Apple, or I'm going to do that, you're still buying that stock, but you're doing it for a much shorter amount of time. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's essentially it. So when it comes to trading, you can trade stocks short term. Options contract is something that people have heard of. So options trading is composed of one contract equals 100 shares. Basically, you're renting those shares and you're taking advantage of a rise in the stock price or a dip in the stock price. And once you're done with it, whether or not you gain something from the market or lost, you're giving those shares back to the market.
So is it if somebody enjoys a little bit more adrenaline, a little bit more action, you think they would like trading more than investing?
Yeah, I definitely think they would like trading more than investing if they had this really sense of adventure and was looking for some sort of rush. Some people do, or at least get the same feelings in trading as people do with gambling, even though they're two totally different things.
So what is the typical type of person who you teach? I know you have programs, you teach people. What are they like? So if someone's watching this and they want to understand if this is for them, what is their kind of profile?
So typically the people that I work with are typically people that work in corporate jobs, and essentially they have a couple different motivations. So one motivation is having enough money in order to feel like they could retire comfortably. That's one profile. Another is someone who may have some time before they retire, but they want to have some additional income so that way they could do things like save, they could take trips, they could just do fun things. Other people are looking to also, maybe they work in a professional job and they're ready to just, quote, trade full time. So they just want to quit their job and they want to just have the market pay for their lifestyle so that way they can focus on other projects. So those are typically the types of people.
For yourself, like what have you seen the market do for you?
For myself, the market has been amazing. So I actually started off as an investor. And on that journey, I learned a lot of different things. And eventually I got to a point where the market was able to pay for me to take off from work for about 7 months before going back to another role. And during those 7 months, I was basically living my best life. I traveled all across the United States, just hopped in my brand new Audi and just drove across the country, stopping at a bunch of different places. And then I went to Europe and lived there for a couple of months. I was glad that I had that opportunity and the market provided that opportunity for me.
Was it that you had done this, you saved up, and then you went out for 7 months, or did you do it along the way? Did you trade while you were out there?
So at the time, at least this first sabbatical that I took for 7 months, I didn't know anything about trading. All I knew about was investing.
Oh.
So this was from my investments.
So that's the investing side.
Yes, the investing side. That was that vehicle in order for me to be able to take that time off and just travel.
Yeah, so it sounds like that works too. So then what was that transition into trading that you saw that made you say this is something special?
I came into the knowledge of trading around 2021. So at that time, I was actually on my second sabbatical funded by investing from the stock market. And at that point, I had put aside from the market, I took about $20,000 and turned that into about $85,000. It was between 12 and 18 months because there were just a lot of things happening at that time. And I took advantage of some opportunities that I saw inside of the market. And some of my positions giving me 400% returns, which is amazing.
It's 4X. It's
4X. Yes. Amazing. So during that 2021 time frame, I was on a sabbatical working on my MBA from Yale. And I came across a video where it was this guy, he was in a Lamborghini, and he had a video saying that how he made $40,000 trading Forex, which is foreign exchange, which are basically currencies. So you basically pit one currency against each other. So you may have the US dollar versus the Japanese yen.
Okay.
Or some other combination. So I clicked on this guy's video and I was just like amazed at how quickly, because he showed a quick breakdown of how he basically entered a position, let's just say in the morning, and then by the afternoon he had $40,000.
Oh, so you were already like, okay, I know how this works over 12 to 18 months. This dude did it in 12 hours.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out how can I accelerate that process. And then, of course, the algorithm just takes you on this never-ending path of other videos. So I got really intrigued. I just basically went on this journey of trading and just trying to understand, no matter which vehicle I use, whether it's currencies, cryptocurrencies, or some other market, how can I make this money faster?
And what's been, again, you can't make any promises, but what has been your best trading day? Something to write home about.
Yes. So far, my best trading day has been over $13,000.
What did you put in to get that?
So at that time, I was considered a funded trader. So in this whole trading space, there are a number of companies that basically, if you pay a fee, then they will give you access to simulated funds. So let's just say, for example, if I wanted to trade a larger account, like $100,000, in order to be able to trade this simulated money, I would give this company, let's just say a few $100s to go through some challenges. So the challenges basically test your skills as a trader. And in the phase of the challenge, well, actually, can be a couple of phases, but let's just say that there's 2 phases. You pass the first phase, you have to meet certain objectives in terms of maybe make 5% or 10% on the
So it's like
account.
a simulated, like you're flying a plane, but you're not really flying the plane.
Exactly.
Okay.
So once you get past the first challenge, there may be another step, which is called the verification step. Basically, they just want to make sure that the gains that you made in the first challenge wasn't just luck. So once you get past that challenge, then you get access to a live, and I put this in air quotes, a live account where basically you have this $100,000 in simulated funds and you're able to trade that money in the market. No one can access it. It's basically just numbers on a screen. When I was able to hit that over $12,000 a day, at that time, I was funded $300,000 from this company, and I believe the amount that I risked was about $3,000.
Oh, okay. So 3,000 yielded 13,000 in this like kind of academy boot camp thing that you did that kind of simulated what you were doing.
Yes, it was a funded company. They don't give you any education or anything.
Oh.
They just give you, well, you pay the money and then you start the verifications.
It sounds, so inside of your program, do you teach how to do that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So because it sounds interesting. It's just a little confusing, but I guess that's the point, because a lot of people don't realize that they're allowed to do this stuff. Yeah, they can invest, they can trade. It's not just for these people we see on Wall Street,
Right.
right? I think that's the fun of it. So in your program, do you teach both investing and trading or only trading?
So in my program, I only teach trading.
And why is that? Why have you decided that that's the way to go?
I decided that because generally when people come to me, they've seen the same videos that I saw, where basically they have a sense of what trading is, but they still don't know how to make it work for them. And the other challenge is that a lot of times most people are working full-time jobs. They can't just break away and look at the market. So one thing that's very unique about my program is that I've created systems where people can find time in order to trade around their schedule and not be driven by the market hours, but by their hours.
And what do you think about like we talked about who is coming in, but what kind of money should someone be willing to invest in trading to be where you are, like where you're going to teach them and that they're going to get the most out of your program?
Being realistic, I think it's realistic to start with around $1,000.
Yeah.
Because that gives you a lot more breathing room. And then it also gives you enough runway in order to actually take live trades in the markets. Even if it's a really small amount, you're still learning and you're still gaining that experience. And that's one of the processes that I run people through when they come into my program. I help them understand that they don't need to have $100,000 accounts in order to make money. They have to first get the skill with a small amount, grow that, and then that'll transform into something much greater later.
I would imagine your it's not a course, it's a program that's like live. You have all this incredible stuff. But I would imagine not only are you teaching people how to make money, you're teaching them how to like know when to back up a little bit. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and that's actually a really great point because a lot of times people think that they have to be in the market all the time because there's this feeling of FOMO or fear of missing out.
Yeah.
So if you look at the market and, let's just say your favorite company or your favorite market is moving up a lot, you're like, oh man, I need to be a part of this move. So you hop in and then it goes down when you were expecting it to go up. So that happens quite a bit. And one of the things that I really emphasize inside of my program is patience and looking at X number of factors. So there are a number of factors that I show them in order to emphasize when you should wait and when you should take your idea and move forth inside of the market.
Wow.
So just because I've learned a lot the hard way, and I don't want people to make those same mistakes, especially when they've invested in the program that I have created.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of like, too, your program, I've been in there and you have everybody's kind of working together. You're doing live calls. There's live calls twice a week. And on your videos on YouTube, which are really, really awesome, I always see like these charts and I hear about like candles and stuff. And I'm like, I think about Beauty and the Beast. And so what is a candle? What are these charts all about? Because your channel is like charting LaKiesha, basically, right?
Yeah.
So what is a candle?
Yeah. So basically, put simply, a candle is just a representation of price within a time frame. So you can have a 1-minute candle, a 5-minute candle, a 1-hour candle. And basically the way that candle forms after that, let's just say hour is up, that's what price did during that hour.
Whoa. Okay. Let us know in the comments if you just learned something cool, because I just learned something cool. That's really cool. Okay, so then you teach people how to understand, how to read those charts, basically.
Exactly.
To understand like, oh, this probably is going to do this based on what it's done the last few days or weeks or the candle period.
Exactly. That is exactly right.
Okay.
Yes, you got it.
That's exciting. All right. And have your students been having success? Like, how have they liked it so far?
Oh, absolutely. So just a couple of days ago, one of the traders inside of my group, she recently got funded $100,000 and she had to pass a couple of challenges. And in her post, she thanked me and basically just, all the things that I did to encourage her and help her along that journey. So that's actually a really big deal because in trading, the more capital you have, the more opportunities you have in order to make money once you get the skill.
You feel like most people can get profitable.
Oh,
Even if it's not like a windfall, they can get a head above water.
Absolutely, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times, like in this space, the people that we see, I mean, they're not, geniuses in a sense of like an Albert Einstein or something like that. They're just regular people that were just persistent. They got the right mentorship and the training and they never gave up.
Then they figured it out.
Exactly.
And people can watch your YouTube channel. They can watch your videos to start to get a little more comfortable, learn a few hacks and tips along the way.
Yep.
And then if they really want to get serious about it, they want to kind of blossom in these trading streets, they can join you. What does the viewer who is thinking about you as their mentor, what do they need to know?
So I would say basically just go ahead, and if you feel like you need that help, feel free to reach out and potentially get that help, because the longer you stay in this mode of being stuck and not knowing what to do and seeing everybody seemingly winning inside of the market, that could be you. If you just go ahead and invest in yourself and get the help that you know that you need, so that way you could be, someone that has experienced success inside of the markets like so many others.
And to that point, is it that you are giving advice on what to buy and trade? Or does your student have to learn all of that too?
So in terms of what to buy or trade, I can't tell them what to choose, but I can share my experience.
Okay.
So for instance, there was someone who just joined and she said, I don't know what to trade. I heard of these different things, but I'm not really sure. So I just share with her, when I came into trading, I looked at this market and I looked at this market, and this is what I thought about this market.
Yeah.
So basically just giving that person some perspective as to what I was thinking about when I was new and how I decided to trade what I currently trade today.
So what days do you have these live calls, and what are the live calls like?
So I currently have the calls on Sundays and Wednesdays. And essentially what I do is I start with a room, who's ever in the room, if they have questions, or maybe if people weren't able to attend the live calls, I may have posted that question inside of the community. And I just go over the questions. And then I go into my outlook for the week for a number of different markets. So even markets that I don't currently trade, somebody in the community may trade that, and I'll go over that market so that way they can have an understanding of what I see, as someone who's looked at charts for years and for thousands of hours at this point. So that way they could get some sort of perspective when they're making decisions about taking or whether or not to take a trade.
That's awesome. That's kind of like you get a weather report twice of the market twice a week from your perspective, your opinion. But it's like having this expert and you have an insider view of it. That's what I think is so cool about it, because especially me, like if I have the means to get into this, but I've never even thought about it. I've invested in 200 companies and startups. It's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I had a lot of people who would come over from stock market investing and they would say, oh, I want to be an angel investor. How do I do that? And I could say, with my eyes closed, asleep, I could tell them how to do that. But I wouldn't know how to just get into trading. But it sounds like you are someone who can be that bridge of understanding that it's not so difficult. It's not painful, right?
It's not.
It's actually you learn a couple of things. You learn what these different things mean, and then you give it a shot.
Right.
And it's not like overnight millionaire.
Right.
But what really is, like, that is legal.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But it sounds like if people are using trading as a means to have a bigger account to retire, then over several months and years, it seems like a really interesting pathway.
Absolutely. And to your point, when people see these videos of these people with, Lamborghinis and big houses and stuff, they fail to remember that that person was a beginner at some point, and they had to dedicate the time and a lot of time, 5 or so years, in order to get like these really big things. But for some people, it actually takes much less. It just depends. Everybody has a different journey. Get started today. Click the button below to join the Profitable Traders Academy. I'll see you there.